Hey everyone, this is Coloring Chemist. My name is Connie and welcome back to my channel. So this is my completed pages. Well, this isn't. This video is my completed pages for October 2024. I'm actually filming this, very late at night on October 30th / very early in the morning on October 31st. It actually just passed midnight. So I thought I would show you. This is my Marjolaine Baston day-by-day calendar for 2024. This is her October 31st picture, which I thought was adorable. This is actually her October 30th picture, which, I don't think there's a picture in here that I don't like. She doesn't have one of these for 2025. Very sad. But, yeah. I also thought, a few of you were asking in my previous video, which is where I was talking about using workable fixative on pages, asking about just nature and birds around here. I know I've shown some pictures and little clips of videos in the past, and I haven't been able to feed the birds now all summer. That's pretty typical here. I am in central Canada and we do have bears, black bears, and they're not that dangerous, but they love bird seed, and so if you put out bird seed and bird feeders, at least where I am, during the summer months, they will A, come and just eat all your seed, but B, they will just tear everything down, right? And so, yeah, we typically don't, and you don't want to encourage them to be in your yard, because that can get dangerous, if a mom comes around with cubs, yeah, the whole thing. But seeing as they should be in hibernation by now, I should be able to start feeding some birds and maybe get some footage of that again for you guys. But I thought I would insert a little clip here. I've been doing a lot of walking on my trails that I have throughout my property here in October. October is my favorite month. I think I mentioned that in the last video. And so yeah, I thought I'd insert a little clip here of a walk I did recently. Hopefully you like it. And then once you see that walk clip, we'll come back and we'll take a look at some completed pages. I will also put a timestamp in the video description below if you want to skip that part and just go straight to the pages. Okay, we're back. So let's take a look at the pages I completed this month. Not a ton. Like I say, and I said it in the past video as well, it was a very busy month for me. Just doing a lot of things. And I wasn't feeling... I did color. I wasn't feeling the video thing, but I sometimes wasn't feeling like coloring either. Maybe a little slump. I don't know. I also got some magnetic bookmarks, so I don't have to use the old tatty Post-its anymore either. So this is one that I did in this Coloring Heaven Magic Jars book. This and mandalas, I usually sort of start out my month with either one of these or both. Just, I don't know, it's kind of like a coloring palette cleanser. I can just go in and not really think about it. I do very little shading. I did a tiny little bit of shading here on the pumpkin. This is all alcohol marker. See that? The star is some glitter. You can see the stars are glitter gel pen. There's a little bit of glaze pen on the fox's eyes and his nose. And the rest is just alcohol marker. I don't remember if I did. I did a tiny little bit of shading with alcohol marker on the pumpkins, but then I also took my white Pitt pen, which is a pigment ink, so it's somewhat opaque. It's not super opaque, but it means that I can go over the center, you know, right here, and make the centers here a little bit lighter, so the pumpkin has a little bit of contour without, you know, fussing and worrying about shading. I just, you know, this can go over top of virtually anything. So this is a really great pen if you don't have one. You can buy these Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Brush Pens open stock, particularly the white 101, and it comes in a brush, comes in a bullet, small bullet tip, 1.5 millimeter, or yeah, 1.5 millimeter. You can get a big brush. Actually, it's not a brush, it's a great big bullet. This is one of the Faber-Castell big, well, they called them big brush pens. This is one of the few you can still get. It's like a great big bullet. But yeah, the Faber-Castell ink is India ink, so it's pigment based. So these have a little bit of opacity. So yeah, just nice for putting in little highlights and things. So that was, I think, probably the first page that I colored in October. A little fox page. I thought it was cute. The alcohol markers that I used were some of my Winsor Newton Pro Markers and Pro Marker brush. I think maybe a little bit of some of the Olo markers that I recently purchased. I think those got in there as well. Yeah, that's about it. So, we'll start to the month there. And then I thought I would try, I've been trying to, because I have been purchasing a lot lately. I'm trying to slow down now, but so because of that, I have a ton of books that I've never colored in, untouched books. So I've been trying to make an effort when I can to, and when I'm feeling it, to color in books that I've never colored in before. And this is one of my newer books. I bought it used, so there's a little tear here. The corners are a little dinged, and there's actually an inscription in it. I think it's the artist, to somebody named Jenny, so that's kind of cool. But I had not colored in this book. And there's a picture here, which wasn't, I mean, I guess it could have been fall, but I made it fall. And that's a thing with a lot of pictures, right? A lot of images in coloring books. Even if they're not meant to be a fall or an autumn image, you can certainly turn them into one. I tried to do kind of an ombre, kind of blended background with alcohol marker here. I can still see a line. This paper isn't really great. It's smooth paper, but you couldn't really sort of blend or move the alcohol inks on it, and that's fine. I was just sort of playing around. Yeah. And then all of the elements on here, just looking, most of this was either the Stettler, and these are my, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know, my go-to for coloring is mostly the Stettler pigment brush pens or the Faber-Castell Pitt pens. So I think most of the coloring on here was done with sort of a combination of these two. Some I did some shading in some places, like here in these. I'm not sure what they are, but you can see, I kind of did a little bit of shading. Other places I didn't. I think the insides of these leaves, there's no shading. There's no shading here. A little bit of shading in these leaves. And then I did something that I don't normally do. I took acrylic markers or acrylic pens and I went over all of the line work, or most of it anyway. Just wanted to see what I thought. The white berries here are, I think that's the white Uniball Signo gel pen, the broad, and then just traced over all the line work with I think it was like acrylic brush pens, like with the brush nib. Went over all the line work here. Went over some of the line work with, just trying to remember, pretty sure that is Super Golden markers, and it might even have been the gold one, because you can see, if you can see there, there's some shine on so all of the line work for those. I went around the outsides of these berries. The berries themselves were done with, that looks like glaze pen, because there's pretty good shine there. And then went around the outsides with them with, that Super Golden marker. Same thing here. Looks like Super Golden marker again. These three branches didn't look like this. It was a sort of a stick and then very sort of stylized. It almost looked like this, but without the berries. And I just thought, well, I'm pretty sure these are pine cones, so I'm going to make these kind of pine spruce. So I took, I think, 2 or 3 colors of, again, the acrylic brush pens and just did flicks. I think the darkest, maybe, if you can see in behind, there's like a darker pen in behind. I think that was where the original lines were, and then I just took lighter ones and just sort of flicked and kind of filled it out, just so it looked more piney, I guess. Yeah. So it was just a fun page, just to, this whole book is very, it's very folk art. It's very, again, I want to use the word primitive, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just a very folk art style. It's very flat coloring. It's not realistic, right? So I figured, hey, it's a good opportunity to have fun with a page like this. Made it kind of a thumbnail. So that was fun. So this is Scandia by Zena Shaw. I also did a page in, this is Rita Berman, her fall walk book. This was not an untouched book. I've done a number of pages in here, but I did this one with a little mice. This is one of the ones that I pre-treated the page, or was this? Yeah, I think it was. I pre-treated the page with Krylon workable fixative spray. Now, actually, I didn't pre-treat the page because I did put down, this is, oh, no, wait, I did. Sorry. I was thinking this was like a pan pastel, but it's not. I'm pretty sure the background there is Distress ink. It was like wild honey and maybe scattered straw, just like orangey and yellows kind of. I'm not sure. If I had to do it again, I think I would have chosen different background colors. Maybe blues, dark blues. Because I'm not sure this works with that, but it is what it is. And so I pre-treated the page with that Krylon workable fixative spray because in my previous video, the one just previous to this, that's where I was talking about there was sort of an aha, game-changing kind of moment for me. I enjoy coloring in lots of different books, but not every book, every book has different paper, right? Or virtually every book. And sometimes the tools that we want to use or the tools that we're most comfortable with, whether it be, I talk about coloring a lot with the Pitt pens and the Stettler pigment brush pens, hand pain, shoulder pain. If I do a lot of pencil work, my hand and my shoulder get really sore. So being able to color with those pens and get really rich lay down of color with sort of minimal physical effort is great. It's great for me. But on Rita Berman paper, those pens don't play nicely. They sort of do, but when you go to try and blend, and I tend to blend on the paper, and I know folks have been wonderful. They've suggested, tip-to-tip blending and all these other things to sort of help. I tend to be a blend on the paper kind of girl. And with some Rita Berman paper and other books as well, those pens just don't want to play nice on the paper. They'll start to pill it up, or they just won't. The ink won't move. And I found that if I pre-treat the paper with a light spray of the workable fixative, even though I haven't done anything, because normally you would, say you did a background of pan pastel, then you'd spray it, then you would color your image. At least that's what I would do. And that it was one of those times when I figured out I had done a background, I think it was oil pastel, and I sprayed it, and then I colored with the pens, and I realized these pens are working beautifully on this paper. What's different? And then I realized, aha, I had sprayed the paper. So then I thought, well, what if I just spray the paper right from the get-go, even if there's not a background that needs to be fixed? What will that do? And it's been amazing for me. So yeah, Rita Berman paper is now behaving for me. So yeah. The mice, I think I used polychromos pencils just because I wanted, to get up more of a fur kind of look. I'm not great at fur. And I mean, a lot of my coloring is almost, it's not realistic. Impressionistic? I'm not sure if that's, well, amateur is also a good word, but I don't go for realism. It's just not, doesn't appeal to me. So I mean, these are big, flicks. It wasn't like I was trying to do anything fancy, but I just wanted the mice to look like they had fur. I left their little noses white. This is just some warm grays, I think. And then autumnal colors. I assumed these were like wheat, so I made them kind of, the butterflies, or I don't know of any butterfly that's that color, but that's okay. The berries, again, are some glaze pen, so you can maybe see them flash a little bit. There's some super golden marker on the butterflies, just on some small elements here and there. There's a little bit of Jelly Roll Stardust on some dots. There's some more glaze there. A little bit more Stardust pen there. Some glaze on the butterflies' bodies. Yeah, it's just a fun page to do. Oh, this book. And it's not like an bad, it's an I wish every single coloring book was printed on this paper by this company. So whatever company it was, is this Better Day Books? Yeah, Better Day Books. Seriously. For my style of coloring, this paper is glorious. Those Pitt pens and the Stettler pigment pens, it's like they were made for this paper. So I've done quite a few pictures in here. So this is the reprint of Fairy Tales and Folklore. It was originally Sagar Oxegner by Emily Lidahall Oberg. I didn't have the original, but I do have this one. I will have, one small complaint. You can see the gold is actually rubbing off the corner there. I don't know if anyone else's is doing that, but is it rubbing off the back? Yeah, a little bit too. So that gold print that's along the top is rubbing off a bit. Oh well, that's okay. So I've been playing around with different things in here. I did my Zig Art and Graphic twin water-based marker, black background. It sort of bleeds through. It's like, makes little speckles, but it's not bad. I also played around with the tempera paint sticks that I bought. I think those were in, did I buy those September maybe? August? I can't remember. And was just playing around with using them for a background. So there's some matte ones, and then I went over top with the shiny gold, and it's great. I mean, this is not fixed. It does not come off. So I wanted to play around with those some more. So I did this one. I think I might have shown this as a whip, maybe in my September completed pages. So, and I think the whip that I showed was the background. So the background, I think, was, I'm trying to remember. I think, no, maybe I didn't put a solid, yeah, I think I did. I think I put like a solid blue down and maybe some black at the edges, and then went over top with a metallic blue and then a metallic black. So you can see if I sort of tilt it, try and get the shine off, or if I can, you can kind of see maybe the colors a bit better in the background. Whereas if I tilt it down, you just see, oh no, I guess you can see colors there too. But I thought it gave it a very kind of deep space, I don't know, magical, mystical look. I thought it was pretty cool. Now, the one thing I will say about using these tempera sticks, they're big, right? They look like this. So it's pretty hard to control where that goes. So I had been putting a little bit of masking fluid around the edge of my image and then doing my background and then taking the masking fluid off, which it works great, works well. These dry super quick and they dry permanent, as far as I can tell. And so I actually only had the protective page in here, not because of the background, but one of the gel pens that I used was a black, I think it was a flare, to go around kind of the outside of the keyhole here. It wants to rub off on this page, so it's not because of the background, it's because of that I've got the protective page in there. This dries quickly and it gives almost like a plastic feel. So I don't know what you could do on top of it, because I was thinking, you know, I should put some stars or something out here, but I guess I could try maybe white Posca might stick to it, but I have tried coloring on top with pencil and it's like coloring on plastic. It just kind of doesn't work real well. So yeah, I mean, it would have been cooler with like stars or something out here, but there's some stars in there, so that's okay. Most of this again was colored with either Pitt pens or the Stettler pigment pens. The bunny, again, I think I grabbed my Polychromos and just did little flicks for fur. I gave it a... It's hard to do fur with those pens. Just pencil just tends to be better for fur. There is some metallic... I think it might be the super golden markers again, just on some of the trim around the edges here. So these little kind of pearl things, and then the little scallops. There's like, I used like I think it was a coppery kind of one for the inner scallops, and then a metallic blue one. I don't know if you can see it's hard to see any shine for anything else because the background is so shiny. The berries, again, are glazed pen. There's some glazed pen on the bunny's eye and the bunny's nose. I didn't know what these were, these mounds in here. And I found another page in here. It was too far away. Well, maybe it was. But it had similar mounds, and I was pretty sure that they were supposed to be snow-covered mountains, because it was like... No, I can't find it. There, maybe? I can't remember. Sorry. But yeah, there was not a similar page, but there was a page with these kinds of shapes, and then sort of a separate part at the top with little dots. And I was pretty sure in the other picture they were supposed to be snow-covered mountains. So I assumed that's what these were supposed to be here too. So I just made them kind of purpley blue. And then the snow, I used a little bit of, it might be, it's not a super sparkle, but it is the Spectrum Noir version of like the Wink of Stella. I really like this crystal clear one for snow because it is crystal clear. The clear Wink of Stella does give like a little silvery kind of gray cast, probably just the color of the mica that's in there. So I find when I use the Spectrum Noir clear, or sorry, the Wink of Stella clear sparkle for snow, the snow looks dirty because it's a little gray, whereas this goes on and it truly is clear. It's not quite as sparkly as the Wink of Stella, but that's okay. Yeah, so I just made these snow-covered mountains. I wasn't sure what they were supposed to be. I used my technique of making kind of glowing things look like they're glowing in a night sky. So you just take your, I shouldn't say it's not my technique. I learned it from the wonderful, amazing Lisa Taggart at Inky Bliss here on YouTube. Pastel pencil, not pastel color, but pastel as in soft pastels. I want to say chalk pastels. I know that's not quite right, but that's kind of what they are. And you sort of make a little circle, kind of color in a little circle bigger than the dot you're coloring that's supposed to be the star, and then take your finger and smudge it, and then put a dot of usually gel pen, like matte, whether it be the Jelly Roll Moonlight or the white Uniball Signo in the middle, and then it looks like, I can zoom in here, but I should have been zooming in for other things too, but maybe you can see that. So it looks like things are glowing, and you can use white. These are just Pitt pastel pencils. I have a set of these. So I use the yellow around the edges of the stars a little bit. And yeah, you just sort of color a little bit and then take your finger and smudge. And it just makes it look like things are glowing. I did a video on this, I think it was a while back in the summertime. You can use that for stars. You can use for fireflies, right? In the sky, you can make it look like there's fireflies. You can do multicolored lights for like Christmas lights. It's just a neat way to give the illusion of glowing. But yeah, I just thought that, again, this didn't have to be on a thumbnail page. It had mushrooms in it, but the leaves could have been all green. I just made them fall colors. And the background shines. So I thought that was neat. Loving this book. So that is Fairy Tales and Folklore by Emily Leda Hall Oberg. This has also been a really great book. For me anyway, for doing, off screen there a little bit. For doing pictures quickly and with not a lot of hand pain or hand strain. What I do in this book, and I all these little tabs in here, that's telling me all the pages that I've sprayed, pre-sprayed with the workable fixative, because it is getting to winter here. And I prefer to spray it outside. So I would go outside, spray it. But in wintertime, it's just going to be too cold here. So I wanted to get a bunch of pages pre-sprayed. So for my winter and fall coloring. So I've been doing a lot of that in October too. When I did my very first coloring in here, I did this little guy. Yep. And I sort of copied, the colors that were here. I don't know if you can see or not. It did go through a little bit. And what I used to color was my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. So if you've not seen these before, they have a brush tip, but there's actual bristles on the tip. It's water-based dye ink. So it's kind of like having, I want to say watercolor in a pen, but it's not typical. Watercolor paint would normally be pigment. The colorant in it would be pigment. And this is dye. But it is somewhat like having watercolor in a pen. And it's got this little brush. It comes in 180 different colors. And, they're really easy on my hands. So, the original picture I had done was that one. And it did sort of bleed through a bit. Now, because of the way this book is put together, that's not such a bad thing. Because it technically is one-sided. But you do have these sort of, what would you call them, inspiration images, and I didn't want to be wrecking these, right? I knew this cover page, this back side, I didn't, there's nothing there to wreck, but if I colored, say, and then it's got some information here, but say I colored this and it bled through or ghosted through, it was going to ghost through onto this, and I wanted to see if I could try and avoid that. So again, workable fixative to the rescue. So I sprayed a page back here. Now, I tore out, there are 3 pages here at the back where you've got her artwork. So this is, this was Angela Harding. It's just called Coloring Book. So these are her original artworks that the coloring pages in here are based on. Sorry, this is just there for just covering up something. And so all the pages in here are perforated, but these are the only ones I tore out, just because I wanted to have this next to me while I was coloring the page in here. So you can see all the her colored artworks. They're lovely. They're lovely little images. But that meant when I was tearing out these pages, I also, the very last page of the book got torn out because those start on the other side. And I definitely didn't want to color this page and have it bleed through and goes through and wreck all those. So I sprayed this page and then colored it with the Zig Clean Color pens. And I think the background I think that was Zig Clean Color pens too. I did it very loose, very watercolory, because her images are very loose and very watercolory. I didn't really worry too much about shading. She had, if you can see, there's her original. She had left white space kind of around the branches. I did the same. And then I thought, maybe she means for that. It does say winter squirrel. That's the name of the image. Well, maybe she means for that to be snow. So again, in that white space, I took my Spectrum Noir Crystal Clear and just, I don't know if you can see it or not. Can you see the sparkle? So I made it sparkle, like there was snow on the branches. And I mean, that's really it. That's all the embellishment that I did on that page. And I mean, this took me, the hardest part was picking colors from my Zig Clean Color pens to because I was trying to match, you know, more or less what she had done here. Mine's a little different. But just trying to match colors, I mean, that probably took me the longest. Once I started laying down color, and I could actually do a little bit of blending. So there are some different colors of red in the fox here, you know, some lighter, some darker. But yeah, once I started actually putting the brushes to paper, maybe an hour, maybe. So it's a way to, and then I just tucked all those pages in behind here. So it's a way to do some coloring that's really fun, really quick. And once I spray the pages with the workable fixative, I don't have to worry about the ghosting through. So I did that one, the winter squirrel, and then I was having a lot of fun in this book. And I knew there was an image in here that I wanted to do for October because it's called October Owl. And so I did that one. And again, just very autumnal colors, but with a little bit of green. And I followed her artwork image here in the back. Where's hers? Sorry, should have had that pulled already. There it is. So there's her October Owl. You see? My colors end up a little bit brighter than hers, but I'm not too worried about it. I think I followed the general, you know. Oh, and the reason I had this black Post-it, her original artwork here this is a cropped version. Because I was looking at this and looking at this, and I'm like, I don't see these branches here in this picture. This picture pretty much cuts off right there. So that's why I had this. Just because I wanted to be looking at, you know, basically the same thing. So that's what I was using that for. And so this square is right here. So that's what that was there for. But I don't think I put any embellishment on here. There's no sparkle, there's no anything. I just used those Zig Clean Color pens and just had a blast. It was super easy. It was easy on my hands. You can get a version of those pens that's less expensive than the Zig ones. I'm pretty sure, I'm trying to think who. Artex maybe has some. I'm sure there's companies on Amazon that would have, if you look for real brush, watercolor pens, then you can probably find companies that sell them cheaper than the Zig. But again, great for hand paint because you're just painting. And I could have done this with watercolor for sure, but having pre-mixed colors in these pens is great. I'm a lazy colorist, I guess. But yeah, just fun. And again, like her, I left some white edges on things. That's just what she does. So I enjoyed it. It was fun. I've got some more sprayed pages there to go, ready to go for winter coloring. So that's Angela Harding. It's just called Coloring Book. There's a UK and a US edition, and I do actually have both because I was curious to see if the paper was the same. Sometimes between US and UK editions of coloring books, the paper is not the same, but in this case, I'm pretty sure it is. So actually, yeah, if I mess up, a page in here, I do have a backup copy. So that's pretty cool. And then I did do some Halloween coloring. Now, I'm not into in my coloring, I'm not into, kind of horror, although I do really enjoy horror movies, but mostly kind of the atmospheric ghost story movies. The Others, love that movie. The Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe, although the book was better, but the movie is very good. The Village, which is an older movie as well, M. Night. I never know how to say his last name. Shyamalan? Anyway, those are the kind of movies I really love. But yeah, I just wanted to do, a little bit of Halloween coloring. So this is a postcard from a postcard book that I bought from Amazon Germany recently. And again, it was an uncolored book, so I thought, I'm going to do a postcard out of there. And there was this skull, so I colored the whole postcard black. It didn't come black. The background black. And then I just used glitter gel pens. You see that? The whole thing. Just, there's really no shading. All the flowers are just kind of fall colors of glitter gel pens. The leaves are Pitt pens or Stettler pens. Again, no real shading. I did some white flowers with the Signo Uniball white gel pen. And then when it was all done, I thought, there's something missing. Oh, there's a little tiny bit of black glaze on the butterfly there. So I did that glowing technique for the eyes. So I took the yellow Pitt pencil, just chalk. Even if you have, you could do it with pan pastel, like put a little bit on a Q-tip and just make a circle. And then take your finger, don't blow off the dust because you want it, any dust you want to leave it there, and just rub. And do another one and rub. If you have kids' chalk, I'm sure it would work as well. And then in the center, put a dot of gel pen. And then it gives you, here, I'll come down a bit so you can maybe see. You see how it gives the impression of like glowing eyes? I don't know. Thought it made it kind of cool and creepy. So there's a postcard from that German postcard book. Kind of Halloween coloring. This is not an untouched book, but I do love Angela Porter. And I know that she recently came out with, it was something in creepy, wasn't it? Cute and creepy? Creepy something. Anyway, she came up with a new kind of, I don't know if it's really Halloween themed. I don't have it because I knew that I had this one and I love her Entangled series. I just really like, I love detailed pictures. I love, just all of those tiny details to color. So I knew I had this one. I think I did one other page in here before, one or two. I did that one last year. This isn't great. The color choices there were not good. But this is one I did this year. So we've got just a pretty, and this is Eerie Entangled art, but it's not all Halloween. Some of it is just, there's a spider. I think that's a black widow spider because it's got a skull. There's jack-o'-lanterns. There's maybe some sugar skulls. There's just some eerie pictures. But I did that one. Now, some things went wrong with this. So we've got stars, and I did the little glowing effect. I did the glowing effect around the moon. It didn't rub out as much as I would have hoped. I did a black background. There were actually some stars down here that I covered up just because I didn't want stars down that low. So I actually just colored them over them with black. I can still see the line work there. I don't know if you guys can or not, but a couple in there that I just didn't want. I just wanted stars up top. Most of the coloring, again, was Staedtler pigment brush pens or the Pitt pens. And then there was this tree. I did all these leaves. The leaves were good. I could not get the color right on this tree. And because every color I put down, I didn't like. And so I put another color down and I didn't like. But when you do that, you have to keep going darker and darker and darker because you can't really put lighter colors on top. You know, you're not liking it. So I can still see the tree against the black background, but I'm guessing maybe you guys are struggling. I don't know. The tree got too dark. It just, and I didn't really know how to save that or fix it. I guess I could have painted it over with, you know, maybe a light colored acrylic paint, maybe. Could have done that, I guess. But, yeah. So I'm kind of disappointed in that. There is some glaze pen, so I outlined the bats in glaze pen. I outlined the raven here in glaze pen because I knew I wanted them to be black, but I wanted you to be able to still see them against the black background. So the bats are colored in with like a black glitter gel pen. The eyes on the skull balloons and the ghosts, that's all black glaze pen. So you can see some flash there. So black glaze pen there. These little eyeballs. The ghosts, I also used some of that glitter, that clear glitter, just to go over. There's some glitter down here. The bottles, I don't know that I regret those color choices. So we've got like a lime green and kind of a purpley, and I don't know. I think I should have done. But then after I was done, I went over the bottles with the clear glaze pen just to make them look like glass. So you see some flashing there as well. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun page, but there's just some color choices I regret. I wish I could go back and change them, but it's done. And it was fun. And in books like this, I don't know, I try not to worry too much because it's fun coloring, right? It's not, I don't know. It makes it sound like I don't think Angela Porter is a serious artist. I think she is. I think she's an amazing artist. But there's something about the images in here that just make me relax a bit more. Whereas, you know, if I'm coloring in, I don't know, a Hannah Carlson book, I think I worry more about serious coloring. And maybe I shouldn't be that way. I don't know. But, yeah, so this is just kind of a fun, I don't know, Halloween image. You've got raven. Sorry, I said crow, but I'm pretty sure that's a raven because the beak is curved on top, right, like that. Raven and a tombstone and pumpkins and just Halloween. So that was pretty fun. Almost to the end. I love Erie's artwork, but this was probably, Erie and Rita Berman were the two artists who I really, really struggled with the paper, right? And using the Pitt pens and the Staedtler pens. They do not like Erie's paper, and they didn't really like Rita's paper either. So I was avoiding coloring in Erie's books, and I love the artwork. I love it. And then I had this brainwave about using workable fixative. So again, you can see all these tabs. I sprayed pages and left them to dry and then brought them in. And then gave it a try with my Pitt pens. It worked amazingly. I am so happy that this workaround now means that I can use the Pitt pens and the Staedtler pens on Erie pages. I'm not going to get hand pain from having to use pencils. You know, it's amazing. I'm so happy. So happy. So this was one of the images that I've been looking at for a couple of years and wanting to color, but didn't want to, start doing it. And Erie paper, those pens tend to pill the paper. I didn't want that to happen, but the coating of workable fixiv, oh, genius. Genius. Calling myself a genius. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but I really feel like I wish I had known about this sooner. So yeah, most of the coloring here is either Pitt pens or the Stettler pens. The clothing on the scarecrow, I did a base of Pitt pens. I think it was warm gray, and then I just wanted more of a, because I figured the clothing would probably be kind of rustic and like a canvas or that sort of thing. So I wanted lines. So I did a base of the Pitt pens, and then I took polychromos and just did, I can zoom you in here so you can see. Can you see on the clothes? I just did, flicks with polychromos, a little bit darker in here, just to give it that sense of like it's kind of like fabric, right? But everything else is colored with Pitt pens or the Stettler pens. And then accents. So I did, there's a couple places where I use like a silver metallic gel pen, little wire handles on the buckets, on the nails on the sign, on there. I don't know if you can see them. Sorry, it's kind of shiny because I did actually spray it again after I finished it, because I did a pan pastel background, so I needed to fix that. So it's actually been sprayed probably 3 times. So maybe that's where some of the shine is coming from. Did I put... I don't think I put any glaze pen on the inside the pumpkins. I guess I could. Probably should have. I did outline their mouths with like a... and like with all the glowing bits with a... This is a Jelly Roll. It's one of the pastel Moonlight ones. It's the yellow, pastel yellow. So that's what I went over the words with, just because after I put down the dark kind of pan pastel, then I don't know, this popped more. So Happy Halloween Boo, and then I outlined the faces with this. There's a little bit of glaze pen on like the tail. I made the bird into a blackbird, which seems weird because it probably wasn't supposed to be. And I wanted to put a black background here too, but then I was like, well, chickens aren't going to be out at night. I don't know. It's this, for those of you that aren't aware, I'm a chemistry teacher. And my brain is very left brain. It's very logical. And so creativity is not, it's not something that comes easily to me. And so when I color, it's like I need to follow the physical rules of the universe, which is silly, but I don't know. So it was like, well, chickens wouldn't be out during night. They'd only be out during day. So I guess I better not make this a night scene. It's ridiculous. I know. But I wanted it a little bit darker. So it's just some dark blue at the edges and lighter blue as I went towards the center. I just used pan pastels. The ones that I recently bought, actually, I think it was the phthalo blue. I think there's maybe 3 colors. So darkest and then a little lighter and then lighter towards the center. But yeah, I just was so happy that I am now able to use those Pitt pens on, and the Stettler pens on Erie pages. Yeah. So that was fun. Again, like I say, that was, and this is just in there to mark, just to tell me that when I spray, usually when I'm spraying these, if I have a book like this where it's double-sided, I will just spray the whole thing, because it's easier than trying to, mask off this page, and you're going to get a bit of overspray, so then it would be like only part of this page would be sprayed. So it's just easier, even if I don't mean to color this now, it was easier when I was pre-spraying to just spray the whole double page spread, even though it's not a double page spread, you know what I mean? So I just leave these little pieces of torn paper in there to tell me that I've sprayed these pages. That's what those little tabs are in there for. And I did find, I think I missed a few small spots when I sprayed it again at the end. because I was finding a little bit of the blue pan pastel was coming off, and I didn't want it to rub here, so that's why I put in a little piece of parchment paper. But if I would have been more careful with my third spraying to fix the pan pastel, I wouldn't have had to worry about that. But yeah, just very, very happy that I can now color in Eerie books. And the last page, and I just finished this yesterday, day before, and I posted it on Instagram, which I don't normally do. I just am not a social media person, but I was so happy with how this turned out, and I was so thankful to Rita Berman, for giving us this freebie. I just wanted to share. So this is her Halloween freebie that she did for 2024. So I printed this on, it's just mixed media cardstock, and I sprayed it because the mixed media cardstock is not, and I even have smooth cardstock, and it still isn't quite the best for using Pitt pens and Stettler pens, but that coating of spray, it's just magical. And then I colored with Pitt pens and Stettler pens. The background is, I think, black alcohol marker, which I could do because this was, it's just a single-sided piece of paper. Just trying to look here. All of the coloring, I think, is either Pitt pens or Stettler pens. And then I just had fun with adding elements. So I took a Lavinia stamp that I have. It's one of their tree stamps. And I used Picket Fence, which is the white ink pads by Tim Holtz. And I'm not sure if it's considered a Distress Oxide pad or if it's just Distress, but it is pigment ink. So it acts more like an Distress Oxide ink than just a typical Distress ink, right? Because I was able to stamp it over black and you can see it. So just some white tree branches. And then another Lavinia stamp is this corner kind of spider web. So I stamped that in silver. I think it was a Dewdrop Memento silver. There's a set of little 4, what are they called? Tusanenko Dewdrop inks. And you've got Galaxy Gold, Platinum Planet, Starlight Silver, and Cosmic Copper. I think this is Platinum Planet. Stamped it in silver. It's not super silvery, but it flashes a little bit there. And then some more tree branches. The clouds here are just a white, I think it was just this white Pitt pastel. I just drew really lightly and then rubbed it with my finger to give it kind of that cloud look, kind of October night cloud look. And I almost was going to put a moon up here, but there's a moon there. So I wanted this sky to sort of be a continuation of the sky that was going on down here. So literally, I can't have 2 moons. That would be silly. So I just didn't put a moon up there. I guess this could have been a moon, but I sort of made it, I don't know, more like an antique gold kind of medallion. Little calico orange and black and white cat. There is some glaze pen on these little, I'm not sure what they are. We can zoom. There's so much going on in this picture. Let's zoom in and take a look at kind of quadrants here. So there's glaze pen here. There's glaze pen on the cat's eyes. There's glaze pen on anywhere there was eyes, I think. I didn't color that button. Oh. Well, I'm going to leave it white now. I didn't. That's the only thing on the whole page. I didn't color that button. Well, it's going to be a white button now. There's glaze pen. I went over top the bottles once I had colored them. Right, so they look like glass. There's a little bit of Jelly Roll Stardust Clear, kind of dotted in there to make the flame look sparkly. And then I took this Jelly Roll Moonlight, the pastel yellow, and made little. She had line work in there for the flame, so I just sort of drew it in there as well. Glaze pen on the windows. Let's see. You see them flash or shine there or not. Hopefully you can. There's so much on there that shines. Yeah, I mean glaze pen on the little butterflies, on the ghost's eyes. There was like some little motion marks up here for the ghost, so I outlined those in glaze pen. The ladybug spots have some glaze pen. The stars are some kind of clear glitter. Could either be the Jelly Roll Stardust, or again it could be that Spectrum Noir clear. And then I did all the little dots that she always puts into her artwork with just the white. I think it was either a combination. Teeny dots were one of the white Jelly Roll, like with the tinier tip, either the 5 or the 8. And then some, the Uniball Signo, the broad one. The spider web here is some black sparkle. I think, again, it was the Flare sparkle gel pen. But then I was having a hard time seeing it, so I sort of outlined it in like the white. I think I used the white pit pen to just, because it wasn't showing up against the black really well. So we've got our spider web. There's some glaze pen on the lamp. Some sparkle on the moon. There's just lots going on, and I loved it. I loved coloring this. I had so much fun. It was just, again, tiny little details, and I just loved it. I tried, believe it or not, to limit the color palette, because when you've got so much going on like this in a picture and so many tiny details, I find if I get too many colors on the go, it gets very chaotic. My eye doesn't know where to look. And so I tried to keep kind of autumnal, muted colors, even for things like, the bow tie here on the ghost. I made this the same sort of, this is like India red. India red and the Caput Mortuum. These two for things like that, for, that patch there, for the cat's robes. The hat on this ghost, the mushrooms. I mean, that's all these same kind of reds. The oranges here were earthy oranges. They were the Stettler, the burnt sienna, and the sienna raw, right? So it wasn't bright oranges. It was like sort of earthier oranges. But again, repeated those in the pumpkins and the leaves and the butterflies, just the cat, just so there wasn't so many colors going on. The blues are, again, Stettler. It's hazy blue and Delft blue. These Stettler pens. I made this a bluebird, which seemed like an odd thing in a Halloween picture, but I didn't know what else. I thought if I make it black, it's not going to show up. So I just made it a kind of a darkish bluebird. This flower, again, was those earthier oranges. Oak leaves are brown. Got some brown on the pumpkin house, and then on the ground down here. Brown on the wagon. The purple I wasn't sure about, but I tried to just make it just a few small places. Right, so the flowers. These are actually purple. What I did was, if I remember correctly, I think I colored the little sections. They look like sort of like raspberries or blackberries. So I colored the little sections with pit pens, but left like a little white kind of edge on each section, and then went over the whole of each section with the purple glaze pen. So I don't know if you can pick that up on camera or not. So can you see there's almost like a little white edge to each section? The whole thing's kind of shiny. I don't know if you can pick that up or not. Yeah, I just had a blast. Had an absolute blast coloring this. And so I'm super excited. I hope she comes out with another Christmas one. I did her Christmas one last year. Loved doing that as well. It's just something about her artwork. I just adore it. So, yeah. And that's it. I've been talking for almost an hour. My goodness. that is my colored pages for October 2024. Thank you so much, Rita, for giving us these freebies. They're amazing. Amazing. Wonderful. I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone is enjoying their coloring. If you're feeling like you're in a little bit of a coloring slump like me, that's okay. It happens. Go to your comfort. To start in November, I'm feeling a little burnt. I think I might start November with, who knows, maybe some mandalas again. Sometimes that can be my palette cleanser, my way back into coloring. After I finish a page like this, then I don't know, I kind of feel like I need something simpler. So, who knows, maybe I'll do some mandalas in November. The usual spiel. I know I say it in every video. I probably should stop because you know what? If you guys were going to subscribe and like and do all those things, you probably did it already. So maybe I'll stop doing my spiel. Oh, I did put little white dots up here. Stars. Just in amongst those just in case you guys were wondering what those little white dots were. Gel pen, just to make some stars up there. So that's it. Until next time, folks. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.